Hello colleagues, and welcome to Week 2, Unit 7 of SAP Cloud Platform Version Control with Git. In this unit, we will continue our discussion of resets by exploring the powerful and versatile mixed reset. In my experience, understanding Web IDE mixed resets will take you from being a person who generally understands how Git works to being a person who can troubleshoot all kinds of tricky Git problems. Anytime there's a really tricky problem brought to me by a colleague, I jokingly start before they even tell me the problem by saying, I don't know what your problem is yet, but the answer is a mixed reset. So let's learn about this powerful tool. Before we talk about what a mixed reset is, take a second to remind yourself of what a reset is. With a reset, you're moving a branch pointer from one location to another location. You may remember that I stressed that in a hard reset, you lose all your work. All changes between your old branch and the branch you're resetting to are permanently lost. Now, the simplest way to explain a mixed reset is to say that, unlike in a hard reset, you don't lose any of your work. You move the branch pointer, but every change in every file between the two branches is retained as a change in your working area. Let me break that down a little bit. Look at the example in this slide. Let's say that in the experiment branch in this slide, you added 30 lines to the end of line A, and you created a new file, B. You then perform a mixed reset from experiment to master. After your mixed reset, the 30 new lines at the end of file A would show up as a change you had just made in the editor and saved, but didn't stage yet. You would also have the new file B show up in the staging area as a newly created file that you've saved but haven't staged yet. Now feel free to rewind that explanation if you didn't catch it the first time. Notice one more thing. This is a difference computation that goes into your working area. So if on the master branch, 30 lines were added to the beginning of file A, and those 30 lines were not added in the experiment branch, then after your mixed reset, those 30 lines would show up in your staging area in file A as deletions. Also, in this example, in that difference computation, not just the latest version of the files on your experiment branch are included, but also all of your saved changes, both staged and unstaged. So if you created a new file, file C, and didn't commit that change yet, you'll still see file C in your working area after the mixed reset. Now, if all of that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it just yet, because a mixed reset is one of those things that sounds super complex in theory, but in practice, it makes a lot of sense. It's a bit like a card game that's easier to start playing than it is to explain the rules. Let's go to the demo. I encourage you to follow along closely on this one. So let's start by doing some cleanup work. Make sure that master is checked out. And from our previous rebasing work, I believe, we need to fast forward, merge master onto special. Good. Now, let's go ahead and delete the branches special and prototype. That was some good cleanup work. Now let's set up for this mixed reset. Let's pretend, going to the history pane, let's pretend that we started development on an experimental feature a while ago. Let's say we started development on an experimental feature at this Eric Raymond quote commit. So I'm going to check out, and we'll call this X feature for experimental feature. And we'll hit create. Now we're on the experimental feature branch. Let's add a new quote. Let's give us a little more room here. A new quote to this line. Under a new list item, we'll write, nothing is more dangerous than an idea when it's the only one we have. End quote. That's a quote by Emile. I think I'm saying his name right. Emile Chartier. And let's make sure it's in there by testing. Thank you. Okay, there it is. Let's stage it. Emile Chartier quote. Commit it. Let's add another list item. Another quote. Life's like a movie. Write your own ending. That's a quote by Kermit the Frog. Save, test, good, stage, commit, Kermit the Frog quote. Now let's make another couple quick changes, but let's not commit these. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it new staged file.txt. Okay. And stage it, as implies by the name. And then I will say new unstaged file.txt. Create this. And as you can imagine, I'm going to leave this one unstaged. Let's look at the history pane and see where we are with our X feature branch for experimental feature. Here we go. Always select the entire repository so you can see everything. And here we have our master branch has 4 commits. If you remember, this commit here was made to styles.css, not to our main web page file. And these 3 are new quotes. And then here on our experimental feature branch, we have these 2 quotes. So if I go over to the drawing, I actually pre-drew some of this. Right here on the master branch, if you can see, the master branch has 4 commits on it, and the experimental feature branch has just 2 commits on it. Also, we have stage changes, that's the new staged file.txt, and the unstaged changes, that's the new unstaged file.txt. So that's what our repository looks like right now. Now, what happens if we do a mixed reset? Actually, let's just draw it directly on there. When we do a mixed reset, it's going to look from a repository perspective exactly like the hard reset did. So the X feature branch is just going to move to the master, and this branch is going to be gone. So from a repository standpoint, we're not doing anything new. Let's go ahead and perform it and see what happens. Okay, we're on the X feature branch. We've got a staged file and unstaged file, and we've got some committed changes. Let's reset. We'll keep the dialog at mixed, and we'll reset to master. Okay, look what happened. First of all, let's look at the history pane and look at all branches. And here we go. Look, it's exactly what I said. Everything's on the one branch. The difference is, here in index.html, look, we still have those 2 quotes we added in the experimental feature branch. Now, what happened to the 4 quotes, because there were 4 new ones, if you remember, that are not here? Those are still in the repository. If you go to the repository, you see that we have Douglas Adam quote, Gandhi quote, Han Solo quote, but we don't see those here. Where are they? Well, if you want to see the difference between what's in your working area and what the latest commit is in the repository, you can just come over here and double-click this. Okay, good. we have now look at this. The mixed reset just kept this, but it just put it in the working area. The latest commit has all 4 of those quotes we're missing. The working area is the only place that has the 2 quotes we added in the experimental feature branch. Those don't exist in the repository, only in our working area. The latest commit in our working area has these 4 quotes. So those show up as a deletion, and these 2 show up as an addition. Let's just go ahead, and I'm going to select these, right-click, copy. I'm going to close this. I don't want to lose those 4 beautiful quotes, so I'm going to add them back after copying them from that difference pane. And now they exist here. Now, if we double-click this to show a difference between what's in index.html, here we go, yep, index.html and the previous version, it just shows these 2 quotes we added on the X feature branch. Why is styles.css in there? Well, it turns out there was a commit that on the master branch that added something, and on the experimental feature branch we didn't add anything. So that addition on the master branch, let me show it in the drawing. This commit right here, as I recall, changed styles.css. So because we didn't make that change on the feature branch, in the working area we kept the styles.css version that was here, that was on this commit. And so when we copied that over, it looks like we deleted something in our working area, even though we didn't. Now, we don't really need this text alignment because it's default, so we'll just keep that. Now, one more thing to notice about this mixed reset. We have a new staged file and a new unstaged file. Remember, this one was staged. That's why I named it that way so we could remember. And this one was unstaged. Those both also came over in the mixed reset. We didn't lose anything in our working area. I'm going to discard this new unstaged file by right-clicking and saying discard. I'm going to discard this new staged file. And I'm going to double-click both of these, and I'm going to, after of course testing, because we always test, good. I'm going to put this in a new commit that said added Kermit and Shart TA quotes from our X feature branch. I'm going to hit commit. So now we have a new commit. So now what we did, going back to the drawing, is X feature now points here. All this is gone. It doesn't point there. Now we added a new commit. We were on the X feature branch, so that points here. This is gone, this is gone. So that's the new state of our repository. It's exactly like a reset, except we kept all our changes in the working area. So you see, by using a mixed reset, you can squash all your work from one branch into a single comparison against another branch. Work you added to the master branch showed up as a deletion in the working area, and work you added to the experimental feature branch showed up as an addition in the working area. The uncommitted changes, both staged and unstaged, were also retained. At this point, you know what a mixed reset is, and you know how to do it. If you feel shaky on how this works, then I suggest creating a local repository in WebIDE like we did at the beginning of Week 1, Unit 4 in the demo. You can use that repository with simple text files to experiment with mixed resets, rebasing, or any other topic you might find a little bit confusing. In the next unit, we're going to dive into problem solving using Git. I'll give you a scenario in which you need to fix a problem using tools we've learned so far. You'll need not just to understand these operations, but to treat them as tools in a toolbox that you're able to pull out and use in concert. That's what we'll practice in the next unit. See you then.